So, not a great deal happened in this episode, but that's okay. In addition to this week's episode review, I'm also going to talk about why I like Classroom Crisis. I do get the feeling that this anime is getting quite the mixed reaction. Some think it's boring, some think it's watchable, and then there's someone like me who think it's good and totally worth tuning in for every week. But first of all, let's look at episode 8. The classroom is getting ready for a fair of some kind where they'll fire their water-powered rockets into the air and make the crowds go wild because, oh, it's all fun and games I suppose. It gives an excuse to develop the relationship between Nagisa, Mizuki and Iris. Come to think of it, the synopsis of this anime I read somewhere is that this is a romantic comedy. Really? Classroom Crisis does have comedy moments, but those moments aren't predominant. There weren't that many comedic moments in this episode apart from Sarah ejecting from the rocket in a comedic fashion. There's no romance whatsoever. I mean, it is hinted at the very beginning of this episode that Iris notices that Mizuki has her eyes on Nagisa, but Mizuki has no reason whatsoever to be in love with Nagisa. No reason at all. They get along, but they don't want to get together. If anything, it's Mizuki and Iris who want to get together. Speaking of Iris, the events in the last episode have taken a toll on her as she suffers a psychological breakdown of some kind during a test flight. I'm not sure how that would raise her temperature severely or give her a cold, unless the incident lowered her natural immunity somehow. But it means that Sarah has to be the pilot of the rocket ship, and comedy ensues for a very short moment. I'm sure the classroom had a blast. We also get a somber scene with Nagisa and Iris. Nagisa is familiar with Iris in some way, but I think he knows just as much as Angelina does, which is not a great deal. All that is certain for now is that Nagisa and Angelina are familiar with Iris in some way. I'm sure the final reveal will make a great finale to the series. In a way, this episode feels more like a calm before the storm episode. Could it be that the finale will begin in the next episode? There's also a little sideline to do with politics, which means a load of money is being pushed into a dark corner somewhere. I don't really care that much about that because, as usual, I don't care about the politicians involved. Finally, we get reminded that Sarah is an executive. Oh man, I wish we actually got to see him actually do some executive work. And better yet, it would be great if he was really good at it. And now, on to why I like Classroom Crisis. I'll explain more in my full series review, of course, but yes, I found this anime really boring at first, but then I gave it a second try and the comedy drew me in, and the script writing drew me in, to the point where I'm now invested in the anime. If you're wondering where to look to find this anime's strong points, it's in the script work. Just look at how the episodes are plotted out and thought through. They clearly went through a number of drafts before the final scripts were submitted for animation. Yes, some episodes of Classroom Crisis were okay, including this episode, and some are good and cinematic like the last episode. But what I'm looking at personally is how well developed the scripts are for each episode. Not a scene or line of dialogue or development is out of place really. If you are interested in good script writing and not really that interested in character development or original concepts, then Classroom Crisis is where it's at. So yeah, overall this episode was okay and I liked the comedic climax with Sarah, and it also hopefully sets up a finale involving the classroom, Iris' backstory, and maybe all the political stuff. And yes, Nagisa still needs to prove he's a guy who's worth our love, and I hope they haven't forgotten that nice relationship so carefully developed in the last episode between Iris and Angelina.